The blade of my pocket knife scraped against the weathered cedar plaque on the garden shed door, flakes of wood curling away like forgotten secrets. Claire's name, carved deep 14 years ago during one of those lazy summer afternoons when love felt eternal. Resisted at first, but I kept at it. The sun dipped low over the rolling hills of upstate New York, casting long shadows across my backyard in Rochester. I'd built this shed myself back when we were newlyweds, dreaming of a life filled with barbecues, kids' laughter, and maybe a vegetable garden that never quite took off. Now it was just me, Caleb Thompson, chipping away at the past. My hands were steady, but my mind wandered to that fateful night. Claire had breezed in from her shift at the local library, her auburn hair tousled, carrying the faint scent of pine from Nathan's cologne. Nathan Pierce, my cousin from Buffalo, always the charmer with his easy grin and the stories of road trips across the Midwest. She'd packed her suitcase in silence, her eyes avoiding mine as I stood there with a half-lit anniversary candle flickering on the kitchen table. "I can't do this anymore, Caleb," she'd said, her voice cracking like autumn leaves underfoot. "It's Nathan. He makes me feel alive again." The words hit like a freight train barreling through the Finger Lakes. She'd left without a backward glance, and I'd heard through family whispers that she was pregnant soon after. But no one ever said it was mine. The final letter gave way, and I stepped back, brushing sawdust from my jeans. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I fished it out, squinting at the screen. "Are you okay?" No sender name, just a number I didn't recognize. But something in my gut twisted. I knew it was her. Claire Emerson now. She'd taken back her maiden name after the divorce. I didn't reply. Instead, I printed the message and tacked it to the corkboard in my home office next to blueprints for my latest engineering project. A puzzle, that's what it felt like. The next morning, another text. "Silver Birch Grove, by the fountain, Saturday at twilight. I'll be there." Silver Birch Grove was our old spot, a quiet park on the outskirts of town where we'd picnicked under the maples, sharing dreams of traveling to the Grand Canyon or hiking the Appalachian Trail. Instinct pulled at me like a riptide. I'd go. Saturday came crisp and golden, the kind of fall day that smells like cider and bonfires. I parked my old Ford pickup and walked the winding path to the fountain, leaves crunching under my boots. There she was, sitting on the stone bench, her hair streaked with silver now, but those green eyes still sharp as ever. She looked thinner, fragile, like the porcelain figurines she'd collected back in our apartment. No hello, no apologies. She just slid a photo across the bench. A boy, about 13, with my high cheekbones and that stubborn jawline I'd inherited from Dad. "This is Liam," she said softly, her voice carrying the lilt of someone who'd spent years in the South before moving back north. "He's ours, Caleb. I didn't know I was pregnant when I left." My heart slammed against my ribs. Ours? All these years, she'd raised him in secret, with Nathan playing the role of father figure in their home down in Syracuse. Then her expression cracked, tears welling. "I have a rare blood disorder. Doctors say I don't have long. He needs you now." The world tilted. Romance? I'd buried that long ago. But sitting there, her hand brushing mine as she passed the photo, a spark flickered, old embers stirring in the autumn chill. We talked for hours, the fountain's trickle a gentle backdrop. She spoke of regrets, of how Nathan's charm had faded into control, how she'd hidden the truth to protect Liam from the mess. I listened, anger and forgiveness warring inside me. By the time the stars peeked out, I'd promised to meet him. A few days later, at a coding workshop in the community center, Liam's passion apparently, I showed up as a family friend. He was all gangly limbs and wary eyes, fiddling with a laptop under fluorescent lights. Claire made the introduction, her smile strained. Liam barely nodded, but when his program crashed during a demo, I leaned over. "Mind if I take a look?" With a few keystrokes, I debugged it. Years of software engineering paying off. He eyed me suspiciously. "You sticking around or just passing through like everyone else?" "I'll stick," I said firmly, meeting his gaze. Doubt lingered in his expression, but there was a glimmer of curiosity, like the first light of dawn over Lake Ontario. Nathan cornered me outside a downtown cafe soon after, his face flushed from too many beers at the corner bar. "I've been there for that kid his whole life," he snarled, poking a finger at my chest. "You think you can waltz in now?" His possessiveness reeked of desperation. He'd used Claire and Liam as anchors for his own drifting life. That night, back in my quiet house, I ordered a DNA test kit and called my lawyer friend in Albany. If Claire's health failed, no way was Liam staying with him. The results came back, 99.9% match. Liam was mine, no doubt. We sat him down in Claire's cozy living room, surrounded by bookshelves and faded photos. Telling him the truth was like ripping off a Band-Aid over an old wound. His face crumpled. Anger at Claire for the lies, at me for the absence. "Why now?" he yelled, storming out into the rainy evening. Claire's decline hit hard after that. Hospital visits became routine, the sterile halls of Strong Memorial echoing with beeps and whispers. One afternoon, she gripped my hand, her touch warm despite the IV lines. "Don't let him lose you, Caleb," she murmured, her eyes locking on mine with that same intensity from our early days. It wasn't just about Liam. There was a pull between us, a quiet romance rekindling in stolen moments by her bedside. "Show him who you are." Her words hung in the air like a promise. At her memorial in the small chapel overlooking the Genesee River, the air was thick with the scent of lilies and rain-dampened earth. Friends and family from our old circles gathered, murmuring condolences under stained-glass windows that filtered the gray October light. Liam stood beside me, rigid as a statue, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of his hoodie. He didn't cry. Not visibly, anyway, but I saw the storm in his eyes, a mix of grief and resentment swirling like the river currents below. Nathan lurked in the back, his face a mask of feigned sorrow, but I ignored him. This wasn't his moment. After the service, as folks dispersed to a potluck at Claire's sister's house in the suburbs, Liam vanished into the crowd. I drove home alone, the pickup's radio humming classic rock, Springsteen singing about lost highways which felt too on the nose. The house echoed emptier than ever, my blueprints scattered across the dining table like unfinished sentences. I poured a cup of black coffee and sat on the porch, watching squirrels chase acorns in the yard, wondering if I'd lost him before I even had a chance. A week later, a knock echoed through the quiet evening. There he was on the doorstep, backpack slung over one shoulder, his sneakers scuffed from the bus ride up from Syracuse. "Can I stay here for a bit?" he asked, voice muffled, eyes fixed on the welcome mat. No explanations, no demands. I nodded, stepping aside. "Mi casa es su casa, kid." He shuffled in, claiming the guest room without a word. Those first days were tense. Meals eaten in silence, him glued to his phone or laptop, me tinkering in the shed to give him space. But cracks appeared in the wall he'd built. One night, as thunder rumbled over the Great Lakes, he wandered into the kitchen while I fixed grilled cheese sandwiches, Claire's old recipe with tomato slices and a dash of oregano. "Smells like Mom's," he muttered, sliding onto a stool. We ate together, the storm flashing outside the window. He opened up a little. School troubles? How Nathan's rules had felt like chains. How he'd always sensed something missing. I shared stories of Claire and me. Our first date at the Rochester Lilac Festival, dancing under string lights to a local band, her laugh like wind chimes. A softness crept into his expression, and for a moment I saw her in him. The turning point came in the shed. I'd been working on a drone prototype for a local tech contest, wires and circuits sprawled across the workbench. Liam poked his head in, curious despite himself. "What's that?" I explained the basics, and he asked to help. We spent hours debugging code, his fingers flying over the keyboard faster than mine. When the drone finally hovered, buzzing like a happy bee, he grinned, a real, ear-to-ear smile that lit up the dim space. "Not bad for a rookie," I teased. He punched my arm lightly. "You're all right, Caleb." From there, bonds formed like solder on a circuit board. We hiked Letchworth State Park, the Grand Canyon of the East, talking about everything and nothing. His dreams of coding apps that could change the world, my regrets over not fighting harder for Claire. One evening, by the gorge, mist rising from the waterfalls, he asked about her disorder. I told him truthfully how she'd fought quietly, how her love for him had been her anchor. Tears came then, and I pulled him into a hug, the kind fathers give sons. In those moments, the romance I'd shared with Claire echoed through him, a legacy of warmth, rekindled in shared glances and quiet understandings. Months blurred into routines. School runs in the pickup, pizza nights with bad action movies, teaching him to change a tire in the driveway. He started calling me Dad one rainy afternoon, casually, like it had always been that way. "Hey, Dad, pass the wrench." My heart swelled, a quiet joy blooming where ache had lived. Nathan faded into the background. My lawyer ensured custody was ironclad, the DNA results sealing it. Liam chose me, and that was that. One crisp spring morning, with cherry blossoms drifting like snow in the breeze, Liam and I drove out to Silver Birch Grove, the same fountain where Claire had changed everything. He was 14 now, taller than me, with that same auburn hair catching the light. We'd made it a ritual, visiting on her birthday, laying wildflowers by the water's edge. "Think she's watching?" he asked, skipping a stone across the pond. I nodded, my voice steady. "Every day, kid." Our life had settled into a rhythm, like the steady hum of the Erie Canal boats we'd watch on weekends. I took a job at a tech firm in downtown Rochester. Flexible hours so I could coach his robotics team at school. Liam excelled, building apps that tracked local wildlife, inspired by our camping trips in the Adirondacks. Those nights under the stars, roasting marshmallows over a fire, we'd talk deep about loss, forgiveness, the way love bends but doesn't always break. In him, I saw Claire's spirit, her curiosity, her quiet strength. It stirred that old romance in my heart, not as longing, but as gratitude for the bridge she'd left between us. One evening, as we sat on the porch swing, fireflies winking in the twilight, Liam turned serious. "Dad, why'd you let her go without a fight?" I paused, the swing creaking softly. "Love isn't about holding on too tight. Sometimes it's about hoping they'll find their way back." He nodded, absorbing it. Then, hesitantly, "I miss her, but I'm glad it's us now." His words wrapped around my heart like a warm blanket, reigniting embers I'd thought cooled. We renovated the shed together that summer, turning it into a workshop for his projects. As we sanded the new cedar plaque, carving Caleb and Liam in bold letters, laughter filled the air, his at my clumsy hammer swings, mine at his endless ideas. Nathan sent a card once, awkward and distant. We tossed it, moving on. Family barbecues with cousins became our norm, no shadows lingering. Years later, watching Liam graduate high school, cap tossed high under the stadium lights, pride swelled in me. Claire's photo sat on my nightstand, a reminder of the love that had shaped us. In quiet moments, I'd whisper thanks to her, for the sun who'd mended my world, for the romance that lived on in every shared sunrise. The plaque still hangs, weathered but strong. Our names, side by side, a testament to second chances.